Hello everyone, I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Dan.
And today we are going to chat a little bit about E3, and we're going to do our E3 Roundup. This is a thing we've never done before, and I got a few requests here and there to do something on E3 this week, Dan, and then other people were like, well, Captain Logan doesn't care about video games. Why would he do that video? Then Dan today sends me a message and is like, there's a whole bunch of games you're actually going to want to get, Cap. And then he was like, no, seriously, there are. Trust me. And of course, I'm like, I don't know, I'm a little suspicious. And he starts sending me trailers of things and asked if we could do a video. So this is happening because of Dan. So thanks, Dan.
No problem. I really wanted to talk with somebody about this, and I felt like it would be awesome to have some more video game stuff on the channel. Even if you're not into modern games, I think there's still a lot of retro-esque stuff that got announced that we're going to be able to talk about, which is really cool.
Yeah, and stuff that's kind of more in my wheelhouse, and then other things that are so fun looking that they make me want to actually maybe even try other people's wheelhouses. So we'll talk about that. So I guess Dan decided that it would be fun to talk about this with the least qualified person. But
I mean, it's good to get different perspectives too, because that's kind of what this show is for to some degree. I mean, it's often on open to the public, it's a mostly press and investor heavy event, but E3 is the Christmas morning for people that play video games, and they're always trying with these events to announce everything at once and attract people into the industry. So that's what it's all about, getting people into video games. So
I haven't been this excited about E3 announcements in a very long time. The last couple years, it's all felt really kind of dry to me, where there'll be one or two things, and I'm like, that's just not enough to make me want to get an Xbox One or a PS4. And I have a Wii U because I play the Mario stuff, and I played the Donkey Kong Country series and Mario Kart and all that stuff. But a lot of the kind of family friendly stuff. But I haven't had enough of a reason to buy the new consoles yet. And now Dan had to go off and throw all this stuff at me, and I'm going to end up, I'm sure, wasting a lot of my money on video games, because there's some exciting stuff coming out, and some that I got to get my hands on.
I think the next generation is officially kicked off. I mean, there were some great games that came out that I've been playing, like Dragon Age Inquisition. The Witcher 3 just came out. It's a phenomenal game. But now we're starting to get into the meat of the generation, and it's really exciting because all of the games look really pretty, and some of the gameplay things look extremely ambitious. Stuff I've never seen before tried in a video game.
Yeah, I think we're seeing a lot of innovation. We're seeing a lot of creativity, and most importantly, getting away from just franchises that have been going on for 10 years.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, all the new IPs that got announced, I was really surprised because, the things like Call of Duty and Halo and Mario are really bankable, and it seemed like last E3, that's all we got was announcements that was in the next iteration of the franchise you've seen for the past 10 years. But I was really impressed with all of the press conferences this year. Everyone had something new to show us. It was really cool.
There's a lot of stuff I hadn't heard anything about at all. I felt really ignorant looking at this stuff. From before this, going, oh wow, I had no idea how versatile the offering was going to be.
Yeah, and it looks like Microsoft and Sony especially have made an effort to reach out to independent developers, and they're making some of the most creative stuff in the industry and iterating on old genres in really interesting ways. So it's really awesome. It's a great time to be a video game fan. It's really cool.
So without further ado, Dan and I, and this is Dan's idea, we're going to count down each of our top 5 most anticipated games after seeing all the stuff we saw from E3. Now, importantly, I've not watched even everything Dan's seen, and I'm sure Dan can't boast having watched a trailer for everything that they talked about.
So I saw glimpses of most of the stuff because I watched condensed versions of all the press conferences into a 10-minute chunk. They took the 2-hour events that everyone did and condensed them into 10 minutes, so I saw glimpses of everything. And for specific games that I was really interested in, I would watch the full presentation they did on a game so I could know what most of the features were in the games that I'm really interested in. But there was some stuff that I'm sure we'll touch on that I don't know everything about. But I've seen glimpses of everything, and there was so much that I had to pare down the stuff that I was interested in too. I could have added more things, and it's just crazy.
Yeah, honestly, when you came up with this idea and you said, okay, pick your top 5, I was like, well, it's gonna be hard to come up with 5, and it wasn't. It was actually hard to narrow it down. I'm really surprised by that. So this will be really kind of fun because I suspect that my and Dan's list will be very different because we're interested in very different things, and I wouldn't say that we like split the middle because I'm there. I think that you play a lot of different kinds of things, and I have more of a select kind of thing, kind of things that I tend to play.
Yeah, I mean, I'm partial to like RPGs and open world games like that. Like most of the games on my list, or at least the higher tier ones, are going to be games like that. But I do play like shooters. I play racing games. I like all that kind of stuff. As long as the games are like competently made, most of the time I'll be into them. But I know you, for example, you're more like 2D platformer is like where it's at for you. That's what you really.
That's
like.
my big thing. And again, I will occasionally play a shooter, and I will like I like some racing games and me and fighting games.
Fighting games too. Yeah.
That's a thing. But I guess for me, it's more of a matter of what I'll play versus what I'll spend my money on.
That's true. Yeah.
So anyway, without further ado, we're going to get into that, and then after that, we're going to do a rundown on several of the other games that were not on our list that might also be things that we're either interested in or that just might be fun to throw out and mention real quick. So this will just be kind of an E3 overview overall, and we'll start with Dan. So Dan, what is your 5th most anticipated game? Oh, and also, should we just? I'm thinking about should we just say Arkham's coming out in 2 weeks? Let's not even throw that in there.
Yes, I agree, and we'll talk about the trailer for the DLC that they had at the Sony conference.
Yeah, that's
which
cool.
is really interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't include Arkham in my list because I'm anticipating it, but it's out so soon that I wasn't even thinking about. Most of the games are pretty far off that I have on my list.
Yeah, me too. And again, there were so many, I wanted to talk about other things. So obviously, we're both going to be playing Arkham, and Arkham would have been 2nd or 3rd on my list probably.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But way up there. But you're right, that DLC is interesting, and we'll talk about that after this. But sorry, I wanted to throw that caveat in there real quick.
Yeah,
because people are going to be like, "Where is Arkham?"
People would have mentioned it in the comments.
Yeah. So Arkham is in there, but we're going to talk about some other things. So what is your 5th game on your list, Dan?
My number 5 is a game that we didn't see a whole lot of, and we didn't get a whole lot of information about it. But I thought the aesthetic and the world of the game looked really cool, and I'm a big fan of the developer. So my number 5 is Sea of Thieves. This was announced at the Microsoft press conference. It's the new Rareware game. Rare is for like the first time in a while getting to sink their teeth into the development of a game that isn't a Kinect sports game. And Microsoft had them relegated to making Avatar clothes for a number of years too. Now that Phil Spencer is the head of Xbox, he's kind of the guy that has taken over Xbox One after the launch debacle where they said it was going to always be online and all that stuff. They got rid of the head of Xbox, and Phil Spencer, the new guy, he's really great. He has a great attitude for the company. He's more about like the fans and the gamers and stuff like that. And he really seems to want to embrace the legacy of Rare. He's been wearing like Battletoads t-shirts at shows and stuff. Like he's a really cool guy. And it's the 30th anniversary of Rare, and they announced their new game. So Sea of Thieves is an open world multiplayer pirate adventure game where you go with a crew and you guys you have a ship and you go and explore islands and stuff. It looks like it has ship combat in it. It had them going off and looking for treasure in like haunted caves and stuff. And the cool thing about the ship combat, it looks like, was everyone has a specific role on the ship. Like one person steers the ship, one person mans the cannons, one person mans the sails. It's going to be interesting to see how that works. I mean, if anyone can make piloting a ship via sails interesting, I'm sure Rare could do it, because that sounds rather boring to me at first glance. But I'm just really intrigued to see what it's like. We don't really know a whole lot about it. That was the only information we got was the trailer, and that was the first we ever seen of it. But I'm really intrigued and excited that Rare is going to work on something again, because the last game they made like that was Viva Pinata, and that was really well received. It wasn't a game that I played, but that was really well received. So they still have some talent over there, even though a lot of the team that used to work for Nintendo left, and they're making the spiritual successor to Banjo-Kazooie via Kickstarter now, called... what's it called? Yooka-Laylee. It's about a lizard with a bat on its back. It's like the same exact thing.
Oh wow! Okay. So
yeah.
are they not allowed to make more Banjo-Kazooie?
No, Microsoft has the property, but like most of the people that worked on that game don't work for Rare anymore. It's all different people.
Oh, okay. I figured they had to still own it because it's on that. that compilation disc.
Yes, it is. It's interesting. Like Perfect Dark is going to be on that compilation list too, and it's going to be interesting to see. I wonder if the Nintendo logo will be before that game when you boot it up on the Xbox One.
I don't know.
Interesting.
I mean, the fact that they couldn't get Donkey Kong Country in those makes me think that probably you won't see Nintendo there at all. And that's not surprising, of course, because Nintendo is still using that, and Donkey Kong is a huge part of their stuff. It is weird to me, though, to see a rare compilation and not have Donkey Kong Country in it.
Because that's like kind of their big thing.
It's the big thing. But that disc looked really cool. It's 30 games for $30, and some of them sort of recent, like Viva Pinata is on that, and that's only like, what, 6 or 7 years old.
Yeah, I'm gonna be excited to play that on the compilation disc, and I'm totally buying that. It's 30 games for $30, like you said, and like, some of the games on there I didn't get to play when they were out, like Conker's Bad Fur Day, because I was kind of like too young for that game when it came out. It's really like a raunchy humor kind of game. It was rated M, and it was like this cartoon character juxtaposition thing, and I've heard it's really good. So I'm excited to sink my teeth in all those games. I was really pleased with what Microsoft looks to be doing with Rare in the future. It's really cool that they're embracing that legacy. It's awesome.
Yeah, I was really surprised to see all that, because they've kind of fallen. And now I wish they'd do the same thing with Sega.
Yeah, me too.
And they could, because Sega is still, a third-party developer and makes things for everybody. And if some company wanted to start just doing more stuff with them, they totally could.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. This is kind of getting into the weeds, sort of. But when Microsoft was thinking about entering the console race, they considered buying Sega. They almost did.
Wow, I didn't know that.
And the Xbox was going to be a Sega machine, but then they just decided to launch it as the Microsoft console instead.
Drat.
Yeah. Right?
Because we probably... Well, that's really interesting. I mean, but that might explain why they've done a little bit more stuff with Sega than some of the other companies over the years, because they had a Sega a Genesis compilation disc that the other two didn't. Well, maybe PlayStation had.
It was on PlayStation as well, and Sega's been pretty cozy with Nintendo lately too. They've done some exclusive Sonic games, and Mario and Sonic the Olympic games, Sonic and Smash Brothers. So
yeah. I think Monkey Ball is only on Nintendo systems.
Yeah, that was a GameCube thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they also had one on the Wii, and they're still making those, I think, for the handhelds.
Oh, okay. Maybe. I didn't know they were still making those. That's cool. Yeah, those were fun.
There was one on the Wii. Yeah, I like them a lot. But now that I think about it, there was one on a PS2, and I don't know if they just quit having those on other systems. But yeah. So I mean, Sega still makes stuff for everybody. But
yeah, I mean, I wish they'd just get to the pedigree of development that they used to have, because a lot of their games haven't been good for a long time. Like they had a contract with Marvel to make their games, and like
they were bad. Yeah.
Those games were famously really bad, like especially the Iron Man ones.
It's sad. I want to see Virtua Fighter come back. I mean, they have a lot of properties that I love that I miss. So
no, that would be awesome. Yeah.
Well, and then of course they made the sequel to Nights on Wii, which I didn't like at all.
I heard really mixed things about that, and people were really excited about it when it came out too, which is unfortunate.
It was a big deal that we were finally going to get it. I mean, we were supposed to have a sequel back on the Saturn, and it fell through. It was like halfway in development. It was Christmas Nights. It was a weird thing to do, but yeah, there were a couple levels that you could play on like a bootleg disc or something. Saturn did this thing where they called them bootleg discs, and they were just samplers. But then there was talk about making another one for a long time, and it never happened. And I think Knights was like a extra character you could unlock on Sonic Riders at one point, and that was a big deal. Everyone was like, "Oh man, maybe Knights will come back," and then Knights came back, and then so much of it was just talking, and you're like, I just want to play the game, It's like some franchises are that and are good for that, and I didn't need a lot of extra random story for Knights, and maybe if the story had been great, it would have been okay, but it was boring, and who cares?
Yeah, Sega tried to do the same thing for Sonic, and has continued to try to do that until relatively recently, but
yeah,
I think they just need their focus back in a lot of areas, but.
Yeah, just focus on the action of the games, man.
Yeah.
Especially when
the
you're talking
gameplay, the mechanics.
Those kind of cartoon type characters. I don't know. Not everything has to feel like an RPG, especially if it isn't an RPG.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just how I feel about it. I mean, imagine, if you will, if Mario had gone that way.
Yeah, I mean, there have been RPGs that are really good.
No, I know RPGs, but imagine if Mario 64 had a cutscene every 5 seconds.
No, it'd be terrible.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Dan, my number 5 is Cuphead.
Awesome. I was very interested to see what you think of that game. I think it looks really awesome.
It looks fascinating. So Cuphead is a mid-1930s like cartoon serial thing, taking stuff directly out of both Disney and Warner Brothers stuff. A lot of Disney, though. It seemed really focused there, and I thought it was really cool how authentic they were able to make that look with different made-up characters, not having the licenses for that stuff. They're doing a lot of stuff to like make the film quality look old and grainy and like you're playing it well after the fact. And the thing I was most fascinated by in looking at it is that it doesn't look like gameplay. Like you're looking at gameplay and it all just looks like a cartoon, and it hardly looks like you're even involved, but then clearly you are. And I'm really interested to see how the gameplay is and what the interactive feel is like, because I feel like I was just watching a cartoon, and I thought it was really cool that they get to the. I mean, but it's so frantic and colorful, and it just looks like a lot of fun. But you get to the end of it, and it wasn't just a trailer. It was what I watched was on the show floor or not the show floor, but the stage
during the
3.
press conference.
Yeah, and you get to the end of it, and it say the press conference. You get to the end of it, and it says coming in 1936. And I was like, that's awesome. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna play the crap out of that. Was that a PS4 exclusive?
It's an Xbox One exclusive.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
That's rough, because I'm probably not gonna get that system. We'll have to find some way to play it. But anyway, that looked amazing. And what it reminded me of was, did you ever play Mickey Mania on the Genesis?
I didn't, no.
It's like that, except of course, new and not 16-bit. But because I mean, the graphics have come to a place now where you just make a thing look like that kind of a cartoon, and you're playing it. That's cool, and it kind of made me wonder why we hadn't done anything like that yet.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I mean, that game has an interesting story. So that game doesn't use computer animated graphics. All of it's hand drawn.
It looked hand drawn, and I wondered if maybe that's how they did, because it certainly looks that authentic.
Yeah, which is really interesting. Like, I don't know how they that. The amount of work that went into calculating any possible movement that a person could make and like animating that must have taken forever to make. But that was just a little independent game, and Microsoft bought them up and is now putting them on their show floor and promoting it like a big game. Like they were a developer that hadn't really even made a game before.
Wow, so that was probably like
a.
So is that probably another one of those like a couple of guys?
Yeah.
In a room. Yeah. Wow. I thought you were going to say that like they started on developing it and then they gave them a team or something, but you're saying they had it finished.
Yeah, like they were working on it, and Microsoft was like, "Hey, your game looks really cool. Would you like to be part of us? And we promote your game, and maybe in the future, if your game does well, we'll give you a shot at something bigger." They were like, yeah.
It's cool that we've gotten to that point.
Yeah, it is. It's really awesome, and I love Microsoft and Phil Spencer and the Xbox people for doing stuff like that, because that's the way you're going to find new and fresh talent in the indie scene. Like like Marvel and DC do with their creators, they're always snatching up the people from the indie scenes that are having underground success and telling really good stories. I mean, Microsoft seems to be taking the same approach with.
Well, and that's how you capture people's that's how you capture people's imaginations, right? Is you take these like smaller independent games and you immediately make them mainstream. That is so exciting to me. But it makes a lot of sense from a business perspective, because you look at stuff like Braid and Meat Boy and stuff, kind of the pioneers of this generation of independent games, and millionaires overnight, some of these people, and it makes a lot of sense that they would want a piece of that pie.
Yeah, I mean, you see games like Shovel Knight, which is a game that is so like reverential to the 16-bit and 8-bit eras. And that game won Game of the Year on a lot of sites, and that was like a small independent game, And I think Microsoft and Sony are seeing stuff like that happen, and they're like, look, we're spending all this money on these AAA games, and like people like them, but they're not getting the same amount of critical acclaim. Yeah, we're getting sales, but if we like invest in these independent developers, we'll get a lot more attention on our platforms, at least from press coverage. Where like if a game like Cuphead comes out and is amazing, all eyes are going to be on Xbox One at that point.
Yeah. Well, we're starved for originality, and it's that way with other mediums and genres, right? We're like, we have that problem in movies, and we have that problem in video games, and things are changing, and I just think it's exciting that independent stuff is becoming mainstream so fast.
It's so cool.
We're blurring the lines now, and I don't know. It sort of feels like the American dream's coming back a little bit with some of this stuff.
No, I agree. Yeah,
and that's really exciting to me. Anyway, I'm sorry. What's your number 4?
My number 4 is Star Fox Zero.
Is it really? Would you believe that didn't make my list?
Oh, interesting.
That did not make my list. I'm excited about that, but other things trumped it, and I love Star Fox. The big thing for me was the polygon look is back.
Yeah, it's so cool. I like the polygon kind of look. I expected the game honestly to be a little bit prettier, considering how good stuff like Mario Kart looked. Like Mario Kart on Wii U is one of the most beautiful games I've played this generation, ironically, and it's not even on like the high-powered systems. So I expected a little bit more from a visual wise, but I love Star Fox. It's Star Fox. I like pretty much all the games of the franchise. A lot of people don't like the games that were on the GameCube, like Star Fox Adventures and Star Fox Assault, and I liked them a lot when I was a kid. Maybe if I went back and replayed them, they wouldn't hold up as well. But I really like 64. I like the one on the Super Nintendo, and Miyamoto is hands-on working with Star Fox again because he had been hands-off for a while. They had farmed it out to some other developers like Namco and stuff. So the fact that he's back and has got his hands in the Star Fox universe, I'm really excited to see what they do gameplay-wise with that. And maybe we'll finally get the game that justifies the Wii U gamepad as a legitimate peripheral, because like most of Nintendo's games don't use any of the features that thing has, other than you can play it on the small screen if you want to. Like that thing has a gyroscope in it that can sense motion and stuff. It's a controller with a lot of bells and whistles, and Nintendo barely uses it for most of their games. So I'm hoping that Star Fox implements the gamepad in a really interesting way, and I love that they have the walker that was supposed to be in the Star Fox 2, a sequel on SNES that was canceled. Like seeing that come back is really cool. I don't know, it seemed like really reverential to like the history of the series, and I don't know, I'm really excited to get my hands on it.
It's one of those games that's banking so hard on nostalgia that I hope it's a really good game also, you know what I mean?
I hope so too.
There always is that worry a little bit, but it being a first-party Nintendo thing, usually you can be pretty sure that while it's all about nostalgia, there might be a little bit of innovation, but at the very least it'll be playable. It'll be a lot of fun. It cracked me up that they felt the need to end that trailer with "do a barrel roll."
Yeah,
I love that.
That was funny.
It's like, I thought I was the only person that thought that was hilarious. Do a barrel roll, but I couldn't help but think that like maybe that is being, and maybe the reason it didn't make my list was because I'm a little critical of it, like of what we've seen so far, and I'm gonna play it. I'm excited about it too, but maybe we're a little too reverential as far as the some of the graphics and stuff like you were talking about, because like at the very least I kind of feel like the characters' mouths could match the dialogue now.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know, like it's just sort of like, well, no, we want to be totally authentic, so they've got to do this, but then say whatever they're saying. I'm like, maybe that was a thing at the very least that we could have fixed. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, the visuals were definitely the most critical thing that I was of it, for sure. But, like, what you're saying about the nostalgia thing, it's definitely banking on it. And you always get a little worried when you see that in Nintendo stuff, because they're a company that has a legacy, and a very good legacy, so they can definitely bank on the nostalgia. But, like, when you get the guy that's behind, innovations like Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 behind your game, I have confidence that it's going to be amazing, at least good. I don't think we're going to get something like as revolutionary as the two Galaxy games were, because those games are like near perfect.
Yeah,
but
especially the second one.
Yeah, Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 are masterpieces in video game design.
I agree with you.
But hopefully it's at least a return to what we love about Star Fox, because the last Star Fox game was a remake of 64. I mean, that's a great game, but I want something new. So
yeah, the one that they did on DS was Interesting. I like. I don't know if you played that. I like
I
things
didn't play
about
that one, no.
it. It was kind of more of a strategy game where it had like a map and you had to like be strategic about where you flew and when, and then you would go to a place, and then it was like normal Star Fox, and you would use the stylus to do barrel rolls and stuff.
Cool.
And it was okay, but it felt close enough to what that series was that you wanted it to go all the way. That was the
true.
problem with it. Dan, my number 4 is... Sorry, this stuff is new and I don't know what everything's called. My number 4 is No Man's Sky.
I am very glad that you like that, because that is... Don't you just wish that was a Star Trek video game?
Yeah, a lot, because that's what Star Trek... And that's the whole reason I was excited about it. Yeah. So No Man's Sky is open universe before open galaxy before it's open world, and the whole idea behind it is that you are just exploring, and there is supposedly, we haven't seen any yet, supposedly there's combat and stuff in it, but it's about going around and seeing as much as you can see and gathering information, and it's Star Trek. You're exploring, and the way they pitched it was the guy who makes the game goes to a planet in the game that he's never seen before, and that it's so expansive that it is impossible, maybe nigh impossible, to see all of it, and that you just warp to a place and go around and explore and see what's there. That is really exciting to me. Now, I'm hoping that you don't have a lot of, like, bland clone planets that kind of all look the same and have a lot of the same things in them.
That's the worry.
And the fact that there's, like, one robot race that's sort of policing everything kind of makes a lot of sense, because that way they can at least have something for you to battle on every planet you go to. But I think it looks really exciting and potentially a never-ending game, and those kinds of things are really cool. What it struck me as is Mass Effect without the story.
Yeah, it looks extraordinarily ambitious. Like, I've never seen anyone attempt to develop a game like that before.
And I think we've all kind of been waiting for it. Like, it's like what started, especially for a sci-fi thing. It's like what Star Trek Online is, except without the redundant battle system.
Yeah, I mean, it reminded me so much of Star Trek when he shows up in the middle of that war, and he's like, I can choose to intervene on one side or the other, or just passively move through and see what happens.
Oh, I didn't even see that part. That's cool. Yeah.
Like, he warps to, like, the atmosphere of or, like, you know, near a planet, basically.
Yeah.
And there's just a war going on between two factions, and their ships are shooting at each other, and he, like, starts firing on one of the ships to help the other one. And maybe he killed the person that was the good guy in the war.
Now you've chosen sides, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And it seems like, you know, you could play what would feel like a whole bunch of different Star Trek episodes, because, like, you go down to a planet, it's an away mission. Maybe you find some evil computer you have to blow up. I mean, who knows what's going to be in it?
Exactly.
But yeah, I am so curious. I'm just really intrigued to see what's in it, and I like the idea of playing a game that's just about flying around and seeing what's out there.
Yeah, it's really cool. I mean, I think the one, like, weird thing that I thought about the game was, you mentioned the police force thing. Like, I know why it's in the game, because, like, if you just land on a planet where there's no alien life, there wouldn't be all that much to do other than, like, gather resources, and that might be a little boring.
Yeah.
But, like, it's weird to me that there's a police force that has discovered all these planets and polices them, but apparently no one else in the universe has. It's just strange, but
yeah, that was my one big thing too. But yeah, it was really cool when he backs up and winds up underwater.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Looked really good. The graphics look astounding. And again, for like you know thousands of planets, that the developer hasn't been to some of them. I don't know, man. That's potentially exciting, or it could be really boring. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, it's so ambitious that it's a game that I just desperately want. Yeah, it's just a game that I desperately want to succeed because it looks so cool.
Yeah.
I mean, if anything, you got to commend those people for trying. Undertake a task like
that's one of those games that I may find, even though it's fourth on my top 5. I'm excited to see what it's like, but I may find myself having to wait for reviews.
Oh yeah, I definitely will too. I mean, I don't have a PS4, so I won't be able to play it, unfortunately.
As I said, there's a couple of things that make me really want a PS4, and I'm bummed out about the Cuphead thing, but
That might go to PC too eventually, because Microsoft is trying to merge the PC and Xbox platforms, so you might be able to get it on PC, but
Okay. Cool.
I'm not sure. I'll have to look it up and let you know.
If that ends up happening, then it's likely to be on Steam, and when that happens, then...
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
All right, well, what's your number 4, Dan?
My number 3.
I'm sorry, are we on 3 now? Whatever the number is, what's your next game, Dan?
My number 3 is Mass Effect Andromeda.
I didn't even look at any gameplay for that.
They didn't show any gameplay, but the fact that there's a new Mass Effect game is really exciting because I love Mass Effect.
Yeah.
I'm a BioWare fanboy. I love everything they make, except for like Dragon Age 2. The game's not very good. But I just got done recently playing Dragon Age Inquisition, which was their most recent game. I spent an amount of hours in that game I'm not proud of, but it's such an amazing, fantastic game and world, and I love everything about it. BioWare is one of the best RPG makers in the business. They have been since like the late 90s. They're just an incredible developer. And the cool thing about this game is we're going to be, and the cool thing about the Mass Effect world is it's like our real, planets and stuff, and like the current world that we live in now extrapolated out. So like, you visit Earth and stuff, and you see what it's like. So this game, it's called Mass Effect Andromeda, which means, which I'm assuming means we're going to be exploring the Andromeda Galaxy, which is really cool. And they don't show you the face of the protagonist in the trailer, so we don't know if we have a new protagonist or Commander Shepard's back or whatever. But I'm just really excited that they're doing another Mass Effect game. I figured they would because that franchise is a big cash cow for EA now, and EA owns BioWare now. But BioWare is masters of RPG gameplay and story, so I have no doubt that it'll be amazing, and I just can't wait to play it. The trailer's just kind of a dude in an N7 suit, like, walking around on a planet and shooting stuff, but it's Mass Effect, so I got me really excited.
I'm gonna assume that regardless of the fact that it's called Andromeda, it won't be starring Kevin Sorbo.
I hope not.
I'm just assuming that...
This isn't my world. Disappointed!
Andromeda is a really great show, though. I don't know if you've ever seen that show, but it's
I haven't
cool.
seen it, no.
Dan, my number 3 is, and I can't believe I'm saying this, and I just... You and some other people I know have completely warped my mind and turned me into a totally different... Not really, but I'm just... like, I never used to care about Star Wars, but boy, Battlefront, man.
Oh, it looks so good.
Oh, it looks so good. I can't get my mind around it. There's like, what, 3 gameplay videos on different planets. One's Tatooine, one's Hoth. What was the other one? One's Endor. Yeah, with the speeders. It just and I don't always care about stuff like this, but boy, it looks so realistic. I have to keep reminding myself that I'm looking at computer animation sometimes. It's astounding how close to real footage it looks, and I can't believe how, I guess customizable is not the right word, but how interactive the environments are. You're going around like on Hoth. They show you like 5 things you can do in a row, and you're you're going around shooting stuff, and then suddenly you're in a walker, and then like a ATSC or whatever, not like a with tennis balls in the bottom of it. You're in a walker, and then you're in a speeder, and then you're or whatever they call those, the hovercraft. Yeah, those. Yeah. And then I always assume that I'm wrong when I'm talking about Star Wars.
No, you were right there.
The thing that excited me was the first-person perspective in the TIE Fighter, dude.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Oh, that was really cool. And then you get to the end of it, and all of a sudden you find out you were Luke Skywalker the whole time, and I didn't know that. And then he's got a lightsaber, he's fighting Vader. And I don't know, it's basically just reliving all the major scenes from the original trilogy, and there's likely to be more stuff than just that. The big complaint Dan was telling me, and I understand it to a degree, is that you aren't going to have any space combat, and I kind of wonder why, but especially because you're going to be able to be in some ships on planet, but I would assume that they're probably saving that for an entire game.
Yeah, I mean, I would assume we're going to get a reboot of Rogue Squadron, because that was like the main Star Wars Space Combat series. I loved Rogue Squadron on 64, dude. Yeah, Rogue Squadron, those games are phenomenal. And I can understand them not including Space Combat, 1, because the game looks like it's already got so much in it, and 2, Space Combat in 2... I didn't think it was that fun compared to the rest of the game. So the fact that they're focusing on the ground combat and they're letting you at least pilot the ships within the atmosphere of the planet, and they said that the atmospheres are going to be is expansive enough that there's going to be entire dogfights with players and ships just fighting, and they won't interact with you because they're so high up. But you can go close to the ground if you want to, but you might get getting shot down by someone with a rocket launcher or something. So it's risky.
So you're saying
to fly close to the ground,
but like you might as well even have it. I mean, it's like, almost like you have it.
In 2, you could like go into like the Star Destroyers and stuff, like you can call in orbital strikes from the Star Destroyers and like the Mon Calamari Star Cruiser if you're the Rebels. But it just looks like a really awesome Star Wars experience, and like DICE is taking the authenticity really seriously. I was watching a developer diary with them, and they actually went to Lucasfilm and got all the models of all of the vehicles that are in the game, and like used 3D modeling to get the exact models from all the movies in there. They weren't like made from scratch. They based everything on stuff that was used in the original trilogy movies. So it's all really authentic. Like I was noticing, talking with Captain Logan before we started recording in the trailer, like when a laser hits stuff, it has the cheesy like 80s special effect where sparks fly everywhere, and you're like, oh, this is like you're playing the original trilogy. They did announce, one of the other complaints is initially they didn't announce that it was going to be a single player game, and they did announce at E3 that there's going to be single player and local co-op missions exclusively for that stuff. That's what the Tatooine gameplay was, which is really cool.
Good. That's exciting. Yeah, because and he's barely old enough to, but like Jason wanted, my 5-year-old really wanted to play it. He was really excited.
Oh yeah.
And he cracked me up because when we started watching the trailer, he was like, that doesn't look like a DICE game, Dad. It looks like a video game. And I had to explain to him what DICE was. But it's funny. DICE game. That's not a DICE game. It's a video game.
Well, that's funny.
But yeah, he was really excited about it. It looks like there might be quite a cast of characters you can play as.
Yeah, the cool thing is, so if you do well in the game, like the best player on a map, eventually they'll unlock the hero or villain to be playable as, and there's different classes of characters too. So like you saw on the Tatooine level, there was like the standard stormtrooper, and then they have the shock troopers, which have different weapons, so you'll play as them. And then if you're like the top player on either side, you'll unlock the ability to play as the hero or the villain, and every map has a different one. So like they showed gameplay in the first trailer from the Battle of Jakku, which is going to be a DLC map that comes out shortly after the game. In Jakku is from Episode 7, so it's going to tie into that game. You're going to see how you're going to see how the Star Destroyer that you see crashed on Jakku in the trailer got there. Like this is the battle that caused all that to happen.
Boss. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's going to be really cool. And Boba Fett is the villain you get to play on that map, which means he survived the Sarlacc pit, and it's really cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, I pre-ordered the game already, and I pre-ordered the special edition, and you get, with the special edition, the ability to use Han Solo's blaster as one of your weapons, so I'm really excited about that too. And I don't know, all of the gameplay I've seen so far really excites me. I know a lot of people are disappointed by some of the features from the previous games, being taken out, but I don't know, I think this may be a little bit more solid gameplay-wise than the other one. Like, DICE is a studio with a very good shooter pedigree. Like DICE is very good at making shooters, and the fact that you get to switch between third and first is really cool.
Yeah, that was one of the big selling points for me, because I'm not a big FPS fan, and I play better in third. So the fact that you usually with stuff, so the fact that you can do that was kind of exciting to me. You know me, I like Hitman, and that's a third person game, and I just generally prefer that to first. But what I thought was really cool, so like a lot of that stuff, them not bringing back certain abilities and or certain features isn't a big deal to me, because I didn't play those games. But this one I was just really excited about just looking at it. I might go back to those eventually, but what I thought was cool is it's not just a shooter, and I like games like that where it's it's somewhat unclassifiable, because it's a lot of things. Because like once you start throwing in like lightsaber combat and then like space combat and stuff, it's a mix of a bunch of different kinds of things.
It's basically what the title is. It's just like Star Wars battles the game, and you can do whatever you see on the battlefield in a Star Wars movie. You can walk up to it and do it if you want to, which is really exciting.
I think that's cool. A lot of people lately have been kind of complaining that with Disney getting the Star Wars license, they're focusing pretty much everything on original trilogy, and I'm fine with that. Yeah, but I would imagine. I guess I just thought I'd take this moment to address that, because I've been hearing from some of our viewers and stuff, and I've been hearing a lot of that lately. It's like, well, some of the stuff looks really cool, but it's all, again, banking too much on nostalgia, and I think some of that is really good marketing, because that's what they're building on for the movie they're about to put out and then after that, we know that we're getting a lot of like standalone features and stuff that aren't that are outside of 7, 8, and 9, and they're going to go back to different periods and stuff. I imagine that give it a couple of years, and we're going to see stuff branching everywhere. And I don't think that it's necessarily safe to assume that for folks that like the Clone Wars era, that we'll never go back to that again, because they've been building so much on the Clone Wars TV show and stuff in Rebels and in other places, like they're trying to link all that stuff. I don't think we can assume that we're never going to go back to that for people that like that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, we don't know all of the locations that are going to be in the new Battlefront game, and they've already confirmed that they're going to be doing a bunch of DLC packs for it. So I would assume we'll at least get one DLC pack, or like some maps actually on the disc that focus on original trilogy stuff. I mean, if this game doesn't give you the ability to play as Darth Maul at least once, I mean, that's kind of a missed opportunity. Darth Maul's pretty awesome.
And you're likely to go to Coruscant of some era.
Yeah.
You're likely to go to Naboo of some era.
Definitely.
I think it would be cool, actually, if they took some of the planets that we only saw in the prequels and updated them, and you see what they look like now. Like, it would be cool to see, circa Episode 4, Naboo. What does that look like? Is it the same thing, or is it different? What does Coruscant look like, post Episode 6?
That's true. Yeah, that would be really awesome. And one of the other cool things that I thought they did Star Wars-wise with stuff is, we see in the Battle of Hoth, like, the Rebels, you can play as a variety of different species, too. And I'm wondering how customizable your avatar will be. Like, we see someone playing as a Rhodian at one point, someone's playing as a human. I imagine, the Empire, they're all humans because they're racists. But,
right,
but, like,
they are.
But with the Rebels, I would assume on Endor you'll probably be able to play as an Ewok in some degree, like you did in the previous two games. Like, the possibilities are endless. It's so cool.
You know what I want to see too?
What do you want to see?
I want to see like it won't happen in that game probably, but in a sequel or something. I want to see pod racing come back.
That would be cool.
Really, or do a sequel to the old pod racer game, and again have pod racing in original trilogy or 7, 8, and 9 Star Wars, because whatever I think about Episode 1, that's one of the best racing games I've ever played. I mean, like, I don't know if you played those, but if you played that, but Star Wars Racer is a really good game.
It is,
and I'd like to see it come back. I've got, what I have it on? I have it on Dreamcast.
Oh, do you? That's awesome.
It's great.
I didn't even know they had that on Dreamcast. That's cool.
Yeah. Anyway, I just want to throw that out there. I'd like to see that come back. I don't know. It's just lately we've had a few of our viewers bring up the prequels, and of course you and I don't care for the movies, but there's a lot of stuff aesthetic wise and stuff that I do really like from that period. And for folks that love that stuff, I just think it's perhaps disingenuous to assume that we'll never go back there. I understand the complaint that we're not doing it now, but I think it'll happen.
I think it'll happen.
I really do.
I wouldn't be surprised if down the line, because this game doesn't come out till November, I think, we get more gameplay and footage, whether it be, in-game or like CGI footage like the Endor trailer was. We'll see prequel stuff. I think that's bound to happen, because in the previous two games there was a ton of prequel stuff. So
what I can't believe, Dan, is how little difference there is between what the cutscenes look like in the gameplay.
I know, right?
It's crazy. Okay, so the big question right now, Dan, is Battlefront your number 2?
No.
Or is it... Okay, so it's your number 1 then?
Yeah.
Is it really? Okay, awesome. So what's your number 2, Dan?
My number 2, and this was a very, very close thing. I changed the order of these two games many times before I came down to it, and I eventually realized that Star Wars Battlefront was the game I rushed out to pre-order when I saw all this stuff at E3 about it, so I was a little bit more excited about it, but man, Fallout 4 looks absolutely incredible.
It does, and I mean, that's not my kind of thing, but I'm going to have a hard time not giving it a try. It looks really intriguing looking, that period and stuff, man, yeah.
Bethesda did like a 30-minute presentation on Fallout 4, because this was the first year Bethesda had a press conference, because they used to be exclusively a video game developer, but they've gotten so successful with stuff like the Elder Scrolls series and their revival of Fallout that they've actually gotten into publishing now, so they have like stuff to show, and they showed stuff like the new Doom game and Elder Scrolls Online. And
that
stuff
nearly
like that.
made my list, by the way.
Doom looks really good,
Looks
and
really
I want
good.
to talk about that a little bit when we get into general discussion.
Yep.
But Fallout 4, man, like, all right, this game is deep. It's like the deepest RPG I've ever seen, period. The first thing that excited me about it in the initial announcement trailer, though, was that it's set in Boston. It's literally set in my backyard. I live in New Hampshire, but if you drive 10 minutes down the road, you're in Massachusetts. So, and most of my extended family lives in Massachusetts still. So, you know, Boston is a place I've been to all the time. As a kid, like, we used to go to Boston all the time, and like seeing all the familiar landmarks, like the Faneuil Hall and stuff, but in like a post-apocalyptic nuclear Fallout, I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. And then the game just has a wealth of features. The crafting system in the game, basically what you do is you go around, and in Bethesda RPG open world games that they make, like Skyrim and the Fallout games, every object in the world is interactable and you can pick up almost anything. And in this game, they're incorporating that into the crafting system. So if you pick up, they said, for example, a rubber ball, you can break that down and use the rubber to make something, like make a scope or something. And the crafting system is so deep that it's going to allow you to, with the materials you find in the world, build entire settlements, and you can become like the mayor of a post-apocalyptic town if you want to.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So I mean, that sounds about as fully immersive as it gets right now.
Yeah, exactly. I've never seen an RPG with this level of immersion. It's amazing. And to the point where I'm not going to buy it because it's very expensive, but you can buy the collector's edition of this game, and one of the main things in Fallout is this bracelet called the Pip-Boy, and it's like your personal assistant, like, watch thing, but it's like all futuristic 50s technology, so it's really cool. This collector's edition ships with a Pip-Boy that you can wear on your wrist that has an app on your phone that interacts with the game like the Pip-Boy. So when you use it on your wrist, the game like pops up and you like select things like you're actually, like, you know, wandering the Fallout world.
Oh my god, that's amazing. You know, you look at stuff like that, and like earlier we were talking about No Man's Sky and stuff, and I mean, like, we got games where, you know, we're talking about our top 5. You know, you buy one of these games, you're never going to leave your house.
I know, right? It's crazy. And I love the world of Fallout, because for people that haven't ever played the Fallout games, basically what it is the premise is, in the 1950s, they kind of accelerate technology, so it looks like the 50s, but with the futuristic tech people thought that our future would look like. So there's like robot servants and stuff. It's so cool. And like, I love in the trailer how they play the 50s, you know, somber kind of music. It's really cool. But so the Chinese and the United States have a one-day nuclear war which wipes almost everyone out except for people that get locked in these vaults, which are important. And you're a vault dweller, and at the beginning of the game you get out and go to explore the world, because it's come time that there's like mutants and stuff out in the world, but the radiation has subsided enough that like human civilization can restart again, and that's basically what you're trying to do. And you like encounter people in the wasteland as you're moving along, and it's just a really cool kind of aesthetic and world. And this game starts before the bomb is dropped, and that's where you create your character, so you get to see the futuristic world that we've never seen in a Fallout game before. We just get hints at it and the remnants of it, but we're going to actually see it realized, and you get to see the bombs drop and everyone go into the vaults and stuff for the first time. So it's a first for the genre, it's a first for the series. It's like everything I could have asked for in this game. It's even set in my own backyard. It's like, it's awesome. I am very, very excited to play it.
See, before I always thought those looked just a little bit too, dreary and monochrome for my taste, but this doesn't. And like, do you remember in Arkham City? Do you remember Wonder City?
Yes, I do.
This looks like Wonder City, the game.
Yeah, and Fallout, based on the premise, I can see why you'd think that. And when you see like general gameplay footage of it when you're wandering around in the wasteland, yeah, that's definitely kind of what it feels like. But Fallout always has this like whimsical sense of humor about it, because it's like the 50s, which is cool. Like, you know, you interact with the Pip-Boy and like other pieces of technology, and they sound like, you know, golly gee and stuff like that, like a 50s kind of idealized world, like Leave It to Beaver and stuff like that. So it's always kind of goofy, which is awesome. I like that.
Yeah, so it's like post-apocalyptic Andy Griffith Show.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's awesome. I love everything about the world. So it's going to be awesome. Oh, and one of the other cool features too is if you have the camera on Xbox One or PS4, one of the main features of the game is the dog that they show in the trailer, and you can have it do stuff for you, and you can control it via voice commands. You can be like, hey dog, go over and get that thing, and it'll do it in the game.
That's nuts.
Yeah, so Fallout 4 is like, almost virtual reality. It seems like if you buy the collector's edition and have Kinect. Or the PS4 camera, I forget what that one's called.
It's really funny because for a while there, a lot of people thought that motion control was where video games were going, and then that didn't catch on, and people still like having a controller. But there's still kind of remnants of that in how we're innovating things, right? Where as technology gets better, we do want to be able to do things like command things with our voice and find ways to physically immerse ourselves, like you were talking about with things like take pieces of the game with you as if you're actually still playing when you're just going to the grocery store.
Yeah.
Wow, jeez, and like that stuff excites me and freaks me out all at the same time. You know what I mean? Like,
it's crazy. I mean. And it seems like the new focus now is potentially virtual reality because Microsoft announced that they are partnering with Oculus Rift to make that an Xbox thing. And PlayStation has their own called Project Morpheus. So it'll be interesting to see if those ideas pan out. Right now, I just don't know if the technology is affordable enough for people to have that and make it a viable thing, but maybe in the future.
We'll see. I mean, originally when Oculus Rift was going to come out by itself and it wasn't going to be partnered with anybody else, I kind of thought that might happen. But the number they were throwing around was like out the gate like $300.
Yeah,
I mean, like
crazy.
It wasn't going to be that much. And if it's, I mean, like, because it was going to be its own system, and if it comes out that cheap, everybody's going to get one.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, I hope with Microsoft money they're able to make it a little bit more
as
affordable.
a peripheral, you'd want it to be a little bit cheaper, but then have you seen anything from it? I mean, like you know, when they start showing game plans of it, it's its own system, and
I haven't really watched any gameplay about it, to be honest with you.
I have, and when I did and saw what it could do, and then they were throwing around the number 300, I was like, that just seems really cheap for what it is, especially because it reminds me of the virtual reality we had in like malls and stuff when I was a kid, and it's better than that. But like that stuff was pretty amazing. You know, even at the time, you know, even circa 95, 96, and you couldn't imagine having one in your house. You know, so the fact that you can buy that and it's better than it was, and I mean, like, you know, completely 360 degree. You know, movement. You're looking around like you're really in a place, and like, you know, if you duck down and you look, it's exactly what you would expect it to look like. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. It is really cool, and I mean, I can't even imagine like what the Fallout game will be or the Elder Scrolls game that Bethesda makes if they make something for that kind of a machine. That could be potentially dangerous. There will be people that never leave their house and just stay in those worlds all the time.
They have to remind themselves
to
order a pizza because they're going to be in that world and think and forget that they have an actual body. And yeah. Dan, my number 2 is and this will come to no surprise to anybody because I've been talking about this a little bit here and there. But Lego Dimensions. So excited about it.
It does look cool.
It is going to wipe the floor with Disney Infinity. That game is done. Game over. They're done. So? They're done. Yeah.
Well, they just got Star Wars, so that's like a big boast for them.
And now,
for them.
that's part of why they're done, I think, because they made a mistake with that. They just launched 2.0 last year, and when Disney Infinity first launched, I don't think people realized that just the way they were talking about it, they didn't make it real clear just how little they put on the disc in the first place, and that eventually you'd have to buy the game again, because it plays like a really customizable thing where you can keep adding to it, and given all the DLC and stuff these days, you would kind of expect that you wouldn't have to every 2 years buy the hardware again. And so like every time they launch one of these again, you have to pay, you have to spend like, you know, $80 or $90 or whatever it is, or no, it's like 120 something, isn't it? For the initial pack, and after a while it doesn't feel like it's an engine that you keep adding to anymore. It feels like you're just buying the engine again over and over again, and then you have to buy the figures separately again. They really should have included the Star Wars stuff with the Marvel stuff in the first place, and just made it invisible, and then you add to it later when they finally decide to announce it. That's what they should have done.
I think you can just buy the disc separate from the like thing that puts the figures in it, though, right?
No, you can, but it doesn't matter because you still need that initial launch set to get the whatever the terminology is, the initial Star Wars level or whatever, and the three figures it comes with, because they'll sell those separately, but the way they do that stuff, it's a lot easier to buy that initial pack and get the 3, and they keep trying to hit you with stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
That's the problem with it. And the thing is, the last release, because I've got both the first. I really enjoyed the first one. The second one, the most fun I've had with it is just downloading other people's levels. The Avengers playset is really shallow. There's just so little to do compared to what you could do with the first one. It's kind of sad. Sarah tells me that the Guardians one is a little better. I haven't played it yet, but it just doesn't seem like anybody's heart was in it. It seems really obligatory, and like they're just kind of throwing them out and getting them made real fast. And
yeah, maybe they didn't have enough time. I bet the developers had a lot more time making the first one than they did the Marvel one.
And I'm afraid they've rushed the Star Wars one out also. The other thing is, with Star Wars, there's other good Star Wars stuff coming out. I have a hard time buying that people are going to want to buy the extra figures to play the Star Wars game when you can get Battlefront. I think it's going to be really hard to get people as excited about it, especially with what LEGO Dimensions is doing. The thing is, LEGO Dimensions is Disney Infinity done right, but maybe you didn't realize it wasn't done right in the first place, and then now it comes out and you go, oh, that would... The problem with Disney Infinity and what LEGO Dimensions seems to be kind of fixing about it is that you got all these play sets that you can't put other figures in. So you'd think that you could get say Spider-Man and play him in any of the different play sets, but you can't. You can put him in the open world thing that you build, but he only goes in certain things, and they're really arbitrary about it. And it just doesn't feel it doesn't feel as customizable as it should. The Lego one says, well, it's Lego. You can play your figure in any of the playsets we have. It looks like, from the footage that we saw with the Portal thing, that you can affect things in the game by putting your character in different places on the pad thing. Which is kind of interesting, and I haven't seen with these things before. But yeah, like with this as opposed to Disney Infinity, it's more fun to buy the figures because they're just minifigs, and you can use them with your regular Legos. And like the initial Portal thing that you buy is like a 50-something piece set, and you have to build it. I think that's really fun. It's like all the physical peripherals seem like they're kind of more fun and make more sense to have to actually buy. I mean, yeah, it's sort of a cash cow thing, but it's one I can kind of get behind. I'm pretty stoked about it. And then just all the different characters that they're putting in there. It looked like we were going to have Simpsons. We definitely are going to have Simpsons. But yeah, I'm just really excited about the sheer amount of properties that they've got that are going to be in that game. The big thing I wish is that somehow or rather they could include Marvel and Star Wars. I mean, I wish somehow we could get all that in there also, since LEGO has all that stuff.
They have confirmed that Star Wars is going to be a part of it. So.
Oh, really? Okay, I didn't think they had been yet. Well, that's exciting. And another thing that makes me think that people are going to get it over the next iteration of Disney Infinity.
That's true. Yeah.
But and not just to make this dog on Disney Infinity. I was just really underwhelmed by the last installment on that, and have loved that game. And I'm really excited that there's another licensed thing, because I know there's Skylanders, but I'm excited there's another licensed thing with things I like. That I've got an alternative for now, because they're going to have Back to the Future, they're going to have Jurassic Park, and just all my favorite stuff is in that, and I'm really excited about that.
It's going to be interesting to see how selective they're going to be with what stuff works with the game. I wonder if all Lego sets moving forward will work with it or something.
Oh, that's a really good point. I hadn't heard anything like that. I mean, it seems like it's just the stuff that they make for it. Because
all the things that you buy are just like Lego sets, so
they are.
They're gonna have Ghostbusters in it too. So they have the Ecto one, and you buy that, and then the stuff goes into the game somehow. I don't know if there'll be chips in the minifigs or something, but I wonder if you'll have to look for a logo in the box or something. It'll be interesting to see.
I didn't even think of that. That would be really cool if there's just more stuff. Yeah, and they should do that, right? Where when you buy a regular, you have more incentive to buy regular Lego kits. But yeah, I'm really excited about it. It's gonna be a lot of fun to play with my kid, and it
does look cool. If it wasn't so expensive to buy all those Lego sets, I'd probably invest in it, but I'd spend way too much money on that game if I actually bought it.
Oh, I know. Well, we've had that problem with Disney Infinity also.
I know, right?
But yeah, so yeah, I'm just stoked about it. So your number one is Battlefront. We already kind of.
It is. Battlefront looks absolutely amazing. I can't wait. And like I said, I already have the special edition pre-order and all paid off. So all I have to do is go to GameStop to get it when it comes out, and it's going to be a good time. The thing that's going to be the only problem with it now is I got to find some people to play with. So if any of our subscribers have Xbox Ones, you guys should totally put your names in the comments, and when it comes out, we can play together.
Oh yeah, because I'm not going to get to play with you if I get a PS4. I got to decide what system I'm going to get. I'm having a hard time with that right now. Oh, it's rough, man. All right, well, I'll think about it. It sounds like companies doing some really cool stuff moving forward, so it might be worth doing. But then there's stuff on PS4 I really want. So.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm jealous of stuff like Uncharted.
Yeah.
On PS4, that game looks absolutely amazing. Microsoft's answer to it, Rise of the Tomb Raider, looks absolutely amazing too, and the last game was critically acclaimed. So I'm probably going to play that game instead of Uncharted, but man, I like to play both of them in a perfect world, you know?
So my number one, and you probably at this point know what it is, Dan. My number one is the game I've been waiting for since I could play video games, and I'm so excited for it. And I'm more excited for it now because they've announced that they've moved the release date up. For a while, it said December 31st. That they were probably just playing it safe for a while there. But yeah, I was thinking initially that Nintendo would have been crazy to not put this game out for Christmas, and it said December 31st for the longest time. Now they're putting it out as early as September 11th. Odd date to choose to put a game out, but September 11th. Okay, it's Super Mario Maker. When this game comes out, Dan, I'm gonna have to take time off from the channel. All I'm gonna be doing is making Mario levels. I'm excited about the concept. It's something I've wanted forever, but I'm also really excited about the design of the interface and everything they've shown us so far. It looks like more than I ever could have hoped for. I'm excited about everything. There's 4 different game designs you can use, and you can flip between them. I can't believe they did it like that. I think that's just ingenious. So you've got 1, 3, World, and New Super Mario Brothers, and you can flip between them on a whim while you're playing the game. That's crazy. They have redesigned certain characters, certain villains and stuff that did not exist in certain games to look like they might have in that game. So you get to see what their interpretation of what like a Boo, and I guess it's Miyamoto doing it. So it's like his interpretation of what a Boo would have looked like in Mario 1 or a Thwomp.
Really cool.
That's really cool. Dan, there are no rules. You can put anything in any part of a level, regardless of whether or not it ever belonged there. You can put Bowser just right in the middle of a level. You can put wings on Goombas. You can do anything you want to. I think you can put Goombas underwater. And they'll swim. I mean, like they have properties they never used to have. All these different things. It's really exciting. You can upload your levels. You can play with other people's levels. It looks like, and I don't know if this is true, but just looking at some of the menus they've shown, it looks like that you can put together a full 8-world game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. I think you've probably seen more footage of it than I have, so that would be awesome.
I have searched everywhere. I've looked at everything I can look at. I am irrationally excited about this game, Dan.
I'm pretty excited about it too. It's going to be interesting for me, especially because in the game you're able to download other people's levels that they post to the internet too. So I would imagine that a lot of veteran video game developers are going to make Mario levels and put them up on the internet. You're going to be able to download them, and it's going to be really cool.
That's a great point, yeah.
Seeing other talented video game developers get their hands on Miyamoto's toolset is going to be so cool. And one of the things that really excited me too that they revealed at E3 is it has Amiibo compatibility. So if you scan an Amiibo into the game, you can play as that character, and they showed them playing as Link in a Mario game. That's so cool.
Well, for the longest time, it was like, what are these Amiibo things even for? You can't do all that much with them, and they keep releasing things that are compatible with them that you can do more stuff with them, and they're starting to feel more and more useful and relevant.
Yeah.
I gotta look at the list of amiibos now because I wasn't paying attention to it. And now I care, you know.
Every character from Smash Bros is getting one, so literally any character from that game will have one. You'll probably be able to play as Diddy and Donkey Kong in that game if you want to.
Bigger deal, Sonic.
Yeah, that's a Sonic and a Mario.
That's
game.
wild. Yeah, that is 8 shades of crazy. Yeah. Well, and then like it means you'll be able to play as Dr. Mario. I mean, there's like a lot of things like that.
I don't know if every amiibo is going to be compatible with that game specifically. We'll see. But
I hope so because it means that you can play as the Duck Hunt dog, and that needs to happen because that's awesome.
Awesome.
But yeah, oh man, I can't wait. And it's a big deal for somebody of my generation that grew up with Nintendo because I mean, obviously I remember Mario going all the way back. I was old enough when everybody was playing the original, not quite when it came out, but everybody was still playing it.
Right.
And when the World came out and stuff, I was like 10, and a lot of the interface is borrowing from Mario Paint, and that is so cool. I don't know if you ever played Mario Paint, but the upload screen, they've shown what it looks like when you upload a level, and it's the save robot from Mario Paint. That is so cool. Anyway, I would be very surprised if there weren't some other little bits from Mario Paint thrown in. Like, I bet the Flight Swatter game's going to be in there. I would be very surprised if it wasn't. Awesome. And I would also be surprised if they didn't put the composer in there. Because I think there'd be room for all of that. And it seems like it's Mario Maker, but it's Mario Paint again, and contemporary 2015 Mario Paint with everything we can do now, and I don't know, it's a big deal. The whole thing's just such a big deal, and it looks like a huge bang for your buck for $60, man. I mean, like like that's the sort of thing where the fun never ends. You just play forever.
Oh yeah, it's like we said with No Man's Sky, in a different way. This is a game of endless possibilities, and that's really exciting. I really hope it does well because I'm really hoping that they release a Zelda Dungeon Maker if this does really well, because that's something I could see. Like, you get a grid with like a set number of rooms, and then you just put things in the rooms, and you make all the puzzles and stuff, and you place enemies and stuff. I mean, I could see something like that happening. You could do the sprite work from the original game and A Link to the Past and stuff. I mean, I hope that the Mario Maker has DLC. And maybe we can get some more skins. Maybe we can get a 2D version of 64 and have everything be in that aesthetic. That would be really cool, too.
Yeah, I want to see it for Sonic.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
I mean, I think that would be amazing. I think those games would be harder to make good levels for. I think with both Sonic and Zelda, you got to think ahead a little more.
Oh yeah, definitely.
To make your levels. And Mario, you can kind of make it up as you go along. But that's going to be such a fun, creative game for kids and adults alike. I think it's a really cool thing to bring your kids up on. Make them use their imagination and be creative and make up stuff, and it looks so intuitive that it's going to be a really easy thing for anybody to use and put together. What I really wonder though is how it's going to affect the future of side-scrolling Mario games, because once we all can make one, who's going to buy one?
Yeah, that's true.
Because what they're giving you is effectively, if it works the way it looks like it does, effectively they're giving you their tool set, and you can see why they waited this long, because they're basically making it. They're basically deflating the value of that property in side-scrolling to release more games, and especially because I've been complaining for a long time that every time they release a side-scrolling Mario game, it's still just the basic 8 worlds, and I'm like, I don't know, we can put a lot more levels than that on a disc now. I mean, like, they're going to have to really step it up if they want us to buy a $60 side-scrolling Mario game again after they make it so that we can make ours and make them look as good as theirs do.
That's true. And, I would assume that after this, the next, installment in the Mario franchise is going to be the next large, big, innovative 3D Mario game. So it's going to be interesting to see whether it comes out on the Wii U, since there's already talk about the new system, and the press conference or the press event that Nintendo did was not focused on the Wii U very much at all. They talked about Mario Maker, Star Fox, and Mario Tennis. That was about it. Everything else was mainly focused on the 3DS because that's the thing that's selling. So I think the Wii U starting to wind down. I mean, but the last 2 games that we know of that they're releasing, Mario Maker and Star Fox, that ain't a bad swan song. No. I mean, we still have the new Zelda coming, which hopefully is really good and doesn't do the Twilight Princess thing where it drifts over to the next system too. But we'll see.
I don't think Star Fox is going to do big guns for them.
No, definitely not.
They weren't real excited about the numbers they had, even for Smash Brothers and Mario Kart. And as you've said a couple of times, if that doesn't save a Nintendo system, you're in trouble.
Yes.
And it doesn't seem like it has. They thought that was going to sell a lot of systems, and I think it sold some, but it didn't do what they thought it would. I don't understand. Part of me doesn't understand that, because I think Wii U it's a fine system. I like everything about it. I like almost everything about it. My big thing is I don't like that you can't buy a separate gamepad and have two. I feel like you should be able to have two of those. That irritates me. But regardless of that, most everything about it I really like. The problem is they just haven't put enough content on it. I mean, there's just not enough software.
Nintendo doesn't have any third-party support because everyone was waiting on the next two consoles from Microsoft and Sony that would allow them to make these big, ambitious kind of games that we saw, like No Man's Sky and stuff like that. Like, that ain't gonna run on a Wii U, you know? So they've basically, been stuck with all of the third parties that they own, like Retro Studios, which makes the Donkey Kong games. They made Metroid Prime and stuff like that, and their first-party stuff. I mean, their software is an incredible library of games, the ones that they've made themselves, but it's just not enough for someone to justify a purchase where they're like, I can go buy an Xbox One and a PS4 for like $300 and the Wii U's around the same price. I mean, like, it's kind of a no-brainer if you're looking to make an investment.
What people want is what we had in the early 90s, which is you pick and choose. You don't need both. You pick the first party you like the most, and then the third party stuff is on both of them, or on all of them if there's more than two systems. What we have now is if you like a lot of different kinds of games and you like Nintendo stuff, you have to buy two systems, and people don't like that. So people give up on the franchises that they played forever, and maybe even just go back and play the ones they have already, because that stuff all still holds up. So when we're talking about Mario and Donkey Kong and Metroid and all that stuff, people are like, fine, I'll just go back and play Metroid Prime on the Wii. I don't need the new stuff. Who cares? You know, and that's what people are doing.
Especially for Metroid fans, I mean, I think we should maybe get into like the general discussion of some other stuff now. Yeah. The first thing I kind of wanted to talk about was the new Metroid game that they announced. Man, that was disappointing.
It doesn't look... Yeah.
It's basically a minigame collection of like Metroid-themed esports, and like everyone was holding out that like the ace in the cards that Nintendo had was some sort of new Metroid game, and it doesn't look like we're going to get one. And I don't blame them from a point of view of a Nintendo that wants to sell games, because Metroid is a great franchise. I love all the games. It's kind of like Mario and Zelda combined into one thing with a cool sci-fi aesthetic, and it's more story-driven than either of those things, so it's really cool.
Yeah.
Metroid doesn't sell. Even compare, like, the Metroid Prime games, fantastic games. They were critically acclaimed, got Game of the Year a bunch of times. Metroid Prime, as good as they were, Retro Studios killed it with those games. They didn't sell very many copies at all. And, they're thinking to themselves, well, if we make a new Metroid game for a system that's not selling, where we can't even move units of Mario Kart and Super Smash Brothers to our satisfaction, what's the point of making a Metroid game for this system, Yeah. I mean, I don't think that Star Fox game would have been greenlit if Miyamoto hadn't been working on it for a long time.
And I was going to ask you about that, because I was a little surprised that even happened, and that he didn't either wait on it or put that out for 3DS, because, let's face it, as we were talking about the aesthetics of that game, that would fit on a 3DS from what we've seen so far.
I think it would too. So, I mean, I think, Nintendo sort of took the wind out of their sails with their E3, saying that Zelda wasn't going to be ready to be shown, because the big thing with them was, like, we're going to do a full big expose this E3 on the new Zelda. And you know me, that was, like, what I was there for, man. Like, the trailer they showed looked really good. It was a lot different. Link didn't have his green tunic on. Everyone's like, what's going on? Like, this is Zelda. It's open world. It's going to be... We don't know what it's like. It looks like maybe it's returning to the roots of the original game, where it's you're dropped in an open world and you just kind of have to figure stuff out. It's not holding your hand the whole time like some of the recent Zeldas have been doing.
Which would be what it would have to do to make me want to play it.
Yeah.
If it does that, I'll buy it and play it.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be really good. But, Nintendo... And I'm glad that they're not showing the game or, rushing it out if they need more time, because, a rushed game is almost always bad. A delayed game is never bad if it wasn't like bad fundamentally in the first place. And Miyamoto even the worst Zelda games are some of the best games I've ever played. Like Zelda games are never bad. They're always just like if it's one that's like lesser than some of the other ones, disappointing because it's not up to the caliber of stuff like Ocarina of Time or Link to the Past or stuff like that. So I'm glad that they're taking their time with it. It's just a little disappointing. I think given that Sony and Microsoft just killed it with both of their conferences.
I'm afraid that not only is it disappointing, for you being a Zelda guy really wanting to see that, but they're already in trouble with their main console and having to rely so hard on their handheld and talking a lot of course about putting games on cell phones and stuff. That this was the year they really needed a showing, and especially once we saw what the other guys had. Oh God, they look in trouble. I mean, I put Mario Maker at my number one because I love that stuff, and side-scrolling Mario is one of my favorite things, and I'm really excited to get to play that. But that's not enough for them. You know what I mean? Like
that's not going to move units.
That'll sell well, but it's going to sell well to those of us that already have one. It's exactly the same thing as like NES Remix. That was huge for those of us that already had that system. I mean, that sold so well, they decided to go ahead and put it on disc. It wasn't supposed to be. It was a download-only thing. They ended up putting those on discs. So what they have, people are really liking, but you can hold their library in almost one hand right now. It's not quite that bad, but you know what I mean. Like you go to a GameStop or a Target or whatever, and sometimes you have to hunt to find the section for Wii U because it's so slim, and that's a problem. So yeah, they needed Zelda bad. I didn't realize until today when you were sending me trailers, Dan, that they didn't show that this year, and I was like, oh no, what are they doing?
Yeah, I mean they showed something Zelda. They showed The Legend of Zelda Triforce Heroes, which is it's a 3DS game, but it's It's kind of like the Four Swords games. It's a dungeon-focused thing where you through Wi-Fi or over the internet play with people and solve dungeon puzzles with 3 people. It's got the aesthetic of the Wind Waker, and it looks like they use the engine from Link Between Worlds to make the game. But I don't know. I mean, we haven't seen an overworld for that game, but I would assume that it's not going to have one. It's not a true big Zelda game. So it's kind of like a supplemental thing, kind of like the Metroid game was. So, I mean, they needed something. I just don't know that Star Fox really delivered that. But
I think Mario Maker was their big thing.
Yeah, I think so too. That
was their big thing. And the thing is, I think even compared to I could be wrong about this, but you're talking mostly trying to sell to families and stuff, and kids. I think that game isn't even going to sell as well, at least for Christmas and stuff, as maybe I'm wrong, as the new Super Mario Brothers and stuff always did, because that's just sit down and play a level game, and that thing for some people is going to feel like tedious and WarioWare, and who cares. And so as big of a deal as that game is to me and is going to be for some people, especially of my generation, I don't know if it's going to clinch Christmas for them. I think they're in trouble.
I think Bethesda has already won Christmas by launching Fallout 4 at the end of this year.
I think you're
and
right
Battlefront as well.
No, Battlefront's going to be insane.
Yeah, Battlefront and those 2 games in the new Call of Duty are going to take Christmas for sure, sales-wise. And I'm sure there will be people, late purchases of Batman Arkham Knight and stuff, which...
Anybody else a little... Let's talk about Arkham Knight now. Anybody else a little surprised that they didn't stave that off a couple more months? Now, I know that they put it back a couple of times, but... That is an October release, right? That's a game that needs to be released in October. I just say that because the last 2 were. It seemed like the right time for it. It seemed like the right, time of the year, kind of atmosphere-wise for that game. It's around Halloween. It's Batman. It's dark and gritty. There's a lot of horror component to it. If we were going to put it out as late as June, I don't know why they didn't wait till October.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would have done well there. I mean, the Batman games have achieved AAA large selling status.
Regardless. So. But I don't know, at least just for I'm weird. I associate certain time period, times of the year with certain things, and there's a part of me that actually kind of wishes it was coming out in October. Just because Arkham City in October was, when I think back to 2012 in October, that was just such a big, or what was that, 11 or 12, whatever year that was, that was such a big kind of deal for me, and I just, like I missed that. It's a little rainy outside and the leaves are changing, and that's when I want to play Batman. You know what I mean?
It's bat time.
That is neither here nor there. I'm just saying. But it would have been a bigger thing for Christmas also, if they waited on
definitely. So Sony showed a new trailer for some Arkham Knight DLC at their conference, and Sony seems to be getting a lot of the third parties to do stuff at their conference to, just kind of make the impression that PlayStation 4 is where you want to play these games, and they've already made a deal with Warner's Interactive to have an Arkham Knight PS4 bundle, and there's going to be exclusive DLC on the PS4. So I don't know if this DLC is going to be exclusive, but the trailer basically is a shot of the Joker's body panning out, and there's a narration, someone saying something about this is how the Batman died.
It's Gordon.
It's Gordon? Okay.
It's Gordon, yeah.
So interesting. It's going to be.
And then the gameplay was weird. I don't know if that's like part of the game proper or if that's like an extra. Do you know?
It's DLC, so I would assume it's like extra missions, but I'm not really sure.
Okay, my guess then is that that's part of the Scarecrow pack because it was a Scarecrow thing, and
right.
I know that they've got like a whole Scarecrow map thing DLC exclusively for PS4. But it was weird to see you playing as some random nobody cop because you've never really had that before. It's been Batman and Catwoman, and I know that there's going to be some other stuff in this game, but I'm assuming that you're going to be playing primarily Batman through most of it.
They have confirmed that you can play as Catwoman, Batman, Robin, Nightwing, and then if you pre-order the game at GameStop, you get a Red Hood mission where you play as Jason Todd Red Hood. So
yeah, but how many of those are actual missions, and how many of them are challenge maps?
A lot of them are missions in the story.
I knew some of them were, but some of them are just challenge. I don't know which one. I know Red Hood's got a whole story bit, but
yes, he does.
Yeah, I thought he did anyway.
Yes, he does.
Yeah. Obviously, I'm still super stoked for that. My big thing right now is I don't have a system I can play it on. I still gotta. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do that.
You get the Arkham Knight bundle for PS4.
No, I don't. I may have to wait on it. It may be a couple months before I can play it, which really sucks because I'm gonna get inundated with requests for a review of that until I finally get to play it. But anyway, that's one of the games that has got me thinking I'm gonna have to go PS4 over anything else because there's so much DLC that's exclusive to it and that looks really cool. The Scarecrow stuff was my favorite thing about Arkham Asylum. How do I not play that on PS4?
Oh yeah, that's true.
And that's also where you get the 66 Batmobile.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah,
and I
think there's
want that.
West Skin too.
Well, there was for Arkham City, but I think it is exclusive to PS4 this time, or at least that's what I read. And but yeah, Adam West Batsuit driving around in the 66 car with that horror aesthetic. Did you ever in a million years think we'd see anything like that? I mean, we have embraced every iteration of Batman so hard, and we're just blending it all together now. I would give anything for that Riddler to have a Gorshin skin.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
But yeah, anyway, it all looks super fun and crazy and wild and potentially super scary.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see what they do with that game and where Rocksteady goes in the future. Maybe we should do a video on that after the game comes out. We get to play it.
Yeah, speculation video on Rocksteady. That's a great idea.
Yeah, because Warner brought them straight out, and that's like the only property DC wise that, and other than the Lego stuff, and the Lego Studio games are all Warner's Interactive too, publishing it. But I would be very surprised if they don't do something DC afterwards. If it's not Batman, it's something else, maybe Justice League, maybe another character. But speaking of games in that vein, I wanted to talk briefly about a little bit more about Uncharted and Rise of the Tomb Raider, because those are two games that I'm anticipating. Did you get a chance to watch the Uncharted gameplay?
I didn't see that one. No, I haven't seen that one.
Okay, so basically what the Uncharted games are is they're I don't know if you've ever seen any games.
I know what they are. I just watched that one. Yeah.
So the game looks incredible. It's an iteration on the stuff they've done before, like the Indiana Jones kind of gameplay, and it's the physics look amazing. They show Nathan Drake shooting a gun, and when he gets shot, the gun wobbles around and he's not as accurate, and the physics of the game look really good, and it just looks really solid. The dialogue's really snappy and good. I really wish I could play that game. I wish it was on Xbox as well. But Rise of the Tomb Raider looks just as good. Like the scene that they had in the trailer for that, where she's kind of hanging on snowy ice caps and trying to get to a tomb, is really cool. I still gotta get around to playing the first one, but the second one has me really excited based on how the first one was received, because I like action adventure games kind of like that, and of all things, I never thought Tomb Raider would get a reboot that good.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought that.
It's really cool.
I always had a really hard time. I tried a couple of the older games when I was younger, and I just found them really stiff, and kind of like Resident Evil. I just had a hard time.
Resident Evil is
figuring out where to go and what I was supposed to do, and I'd be like, okay, I got 2 guns. Why is it so hard to fire them, and where I want to fire them? But yeah, the new stuff looks a lot more fluid than it ever used to be, and yeah, I've been interested in trying those out too. But I assume that there's enough puzzle stuff that I'll look like an idiot trying to play them. So I don't know, and I figure Uncharted is a little bit like that too. Although that looks even a little bit more action driven than Tomb Raider, but I don't know if I'm right about that.
I've never played them myself, so I don't really know.
But
I would assume there is some puzzle stuff. I'm not really sure though. Other stuff.
Well, I want to mention Hitman.
I was going to go to that because that was one of the other things at the Sony conference that they highlighted, and that's multi-platform as well. But I would assume there's some sort of exclusive deal.
I thought it was exclusive to PS4 this time.
I don't think it is. No.
Oh, okay. I thought it was.
I can look it up.
It would be wild if it was, because the last one was multi-platform. They put Absolution on 360, which I have, and I've not played much of, but I've loved what I played of it. They didn't show any gameplay. It's just a story trailer. But it looks terrifying, and I'm excited about it. I love Hitman. Yeah, simulated murder. Yeah.
It is on Xbox One, PC, and PS4.
Oh, is it really? Okay, cool.
Yes.
All right. Well, then that won't affect my decision of what system I end up buying. But yeah, I'll definitely get that when it comes out. When you and I were talking earlier and you were feeding me some research, I was when you said Hitman, I was like, yes, of course. Like, I almost asked you if they were putting one out because they've got a movie this year. They would be crazy to not put a game out this year.
Yeah, I've never played any of the Hitman games, but the trailer looked rather intriguing. I liked how they kind of... I was sort of like wondering what it was going to be all about, because it was just kind of Hitman running. We just saw people doing things.
Yeah.
I was like, this is weird, but it turns out all those people are his victims, and like they get like subtly murdered and stuff. It was really cool.
That's what he does. That's what he was conditioned to do. I love Hitman. It's terrifying, and I have nightmares every time I play it. Because I'm running around killing people, and that's what you're supposed to do in that game. And fiber wire, and anyway.
See, one of the other games too. Of course, one of the big features of Microsoft's conference was the new Halo game, because that's kind of their marquee franchise.
Excuse me.
And I am a kind of lapsed Halo fan. I love the first game, the second game, the third game. Reach was okay. I didn't like it as well as the other ones. I never played 4. I was going to play it when Master Chief Collection came out, but then that game like still doesn't work. Like, all the online servers still don't work.
Oh my gosh, really?
It's like the game's really broken. So I haven't bought that yet. I've been waiting on them to fix it. So Halo 5 actually looks really cool, though. You play the campaign from 2 different perspectives. You play as Master Chief, and then this like crusading journalist guy that like accuses Master Chief of like war crimes and stuff, and believes that he's done more terrible things than good for like the world and stuff, which is really interesting because those games are just kind of have always kind of been like epic. Master Chief is like the hero, and we never examined him through that lens before as a character. So I think that's interesting. And it's got a 4-player co-op with 4 different characters that you can play the campaign through, which is interesting. And Nathan Fillion, his likeness and his voice is used in the game, so that's cool. It was just funny. Like in the trailer, they look over at your companion without his helmet on, and it's just Nathan Fillion. I was like, that's awesome. I didn't even know he was in the game. So that was really cool. And of course, Halo's kind of a multiplayer thing. That's why people primarily buy it. The campaigns are always really good, but the multiplayer looks like it's good, returning to its roots a little bit more, because in the 4th one, I wasn't really into it because they incorporated a lot of Call of Duty elements, and the thing I like about Halo is that it's not Call of Duty, it's different. But, we'll see how it is. Of course, it's not Bungie. They've gone on to work on Destiny, which is a game that doesn't really intrigue me all that much, but I'm hoping that this new team is coming to their own now. I still have to play 4 because they made that game. That was the last game they made, but we'll see. You don't have any interest in Halo at all, do you? Have you ever played any of those games?
I've just never played it. Yeah,
Oh,
and as I've said, I'm just generally not a big FPS guy. Like I said, I am interested in Doom.
Doom looks cool.
Looks ultra grotesque, but it looks really fun. And I was a big fan of Quake. I played a lot of Quake Arena back in the day, and it reminded me a lot of that. Of course, I'm sure that it's much more sophisticated than that. And there's probably like strafing and stuff, which you did not have in Quake. But I imagine it's going to be Doom reimagined as a more modern kind of shooter, sort of like they did when they brought GoldenEye back. But
the cool thing about what Bethesda is doing with these shooter properties, because they bought Wolfenstein and Doom, and they recently put out Wolfenstein: The New Order, which is an amazing game. And
they should cross those.
That would be awesome. So Wolfenstein is The New Order is a really throwbacky single player only shooter. It's the kind of thing where you have to pick up armor and health off the ground. Your health doesn't regenerate. It's like that old school.
Yeah.
And it's really story driven, and it's about an extrapolated 1960s if the Nazis won World War II. It's an awesome game. So
I may have to try that. Wow.
Yeah, it's a really awesome game. If you get a PS4, you should buy it. But Doom, they're trying to do the same thing. They're trying to recapture what people loved about Doom back in the day and modernize it somewhat. This game does have multiplayer as well, and it has a map creator similar to Forge and Halo, where you're able to make your own multiplayer maps.
Oh, fun.
Which is really cool.
Yeah.
And Bethesda did announce as well that all of the mods for their games are going to be compatible. The big thing with Bethesda, Fallout and Skyrim games, is the modding community, where people will make their own additions to the game and put them in. And they announced they're partnering with Microsoft to do all the modding stuff for their games and make it available on Xbox as well. So that's really exciting to me, and maybe there'll be some cool stuff done with Doom. So that game does look really intriguing to me, just based on what they did with Wolfenstein and how much they revitalized that franchise. They gave it to a really talented set of developers that had never made a game before, and it turned out really
Doom
well.
wasn't a thing that I grew up playing. My wife did. She's actually really excited about that. Yeah,
awesome.
that they're bringing Doom back. But it looked enough like Quake that it made me want to maybe try it. And I know they did a Quake 5 or something a while back that nobody played, and I heard nothing about, so I don't know. But I may try that. The last thing I wanted to bring up that I'm really intrigued by, that almost made my list, it would have been probably 6th, is Unravel.
Yes, that platformer. It does look cool, doesn't it?
Yeah, that looks super cool. That looks like another one of those, probably some dude in his basement that they grabbed onto. Really looks like that kind of game to me. And the aesthetic is gorgeous. It looks like one of those really simple looking, calm kind of games that's kind of all about the atmosphere, but then it'll probably be really challenging in unexpected kinds of ways. But just like the way water moves off of things and stuff. It's one of those 2D side scrollers that uses a lot of 3D elements and looks not real but complex, and I love that stuff. I want to play that. It looks really cool.
The way they talked about it at the press conference too sounded like they're trying to do something rather sophisticated thematically with it too, which could be cool. The guy that presented it on stage said that the unraveled guy is supposed to represent the thread that connects people and interpersonal relationships, and your goal in the game is to connect to people that are meant to meet and have a relationship with each other, whether they love or friends or something. So if you and there'll be times where you get to the end of the level and it doesn't work out, and you fail, or when you die, these people don't connect and you're responsible for it.
That's cool.
It sounds interesting. Yeah,
that is really interesting. So this is kind of weird metaphorical thing. Because I was showing it to my wife, and she was like, well, you got all that string coming out of you. How do you not fall apart completely? Where does all the string go? But it looked like a lot of fun, and I may have to get that. It looked really cute too.
It does look really cute. It reminded me of like what they've been doing recently with the Kirby and Yoshi games, because Yoshi's Woolly World got announced to be coming out in October, and that's kind of a yarn-based thing, and there was Kirby's Epic Yarn. And...
Yeah, I haven't played any of those, which is weird. You'd think that I would. I thought it was weird that they felt like they had to add some kind of texture gimmick just to get people to buy those games. I always thought that was really weird, but maybe it's cool. But yeah, what was like? I remember when Kirby's Epic Yarn came out 5 or 6 years ago, and I was like, why does it have to have yarn? I don't understand that.
Yeah, it's weird. Some of the other games I wanted to bring up too. At the Ubisoft conference, they announced this game that I thought looked really interesting. I don't know how it'll be. It's called For Honor, and it's a medieval combat simulator game. And I think that's a really interesting idea, because we've focused for so much in the industry on trying to simulate firearm combat. That's like what half of the games that come out are.
Yeah.
And like there's games that have sword combat in them, obviously, like Skyrim does that, like pretty much every sword and sorcery RPG has that, but it's not realistic. This game is like you like control like where your sword position is with the right stick, and every sword has a different weight, and you have to like swing and block and dodge, and it looks like a really complex combat system. And it you get to play, at least in the launch of the game, as 3 historical factions. You can be a medieval knight from England, a Japanese samurai, or a Celtic warrior, and like it's all historically accurate and stuff, so that really appealed to me. Ubisoft talked about a lot of stuff at their conference, but that was the one that stuck out to me as being really interesting, because it was a new idea. Like they showed like Assassin's Creed and stuff, which they do every year. That's an annualized thing they do, and those games are cool for the historical setting. And it seems like Ubisoft seems to like that stuff, because they're doing something else with a historical bent, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah. I have nothing to add, but I thought that looked interesting too. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it does. Obviously, one of the things that I thought was interesting is that Activision's bringing back Tony Hawk Pro Skater. They're doing Pro Skater 5 again, and you can like get power-ups and shoot people with lightning on your skateboard in multiplayer. I don't know why we needed that.
That's so goofy. You can just set everything on fire, and that looked odd. My wife, believe it or not, it's so funny because I always talk about how I'm not really that big of a gamer, but then I'll start talking to people like, well, you know a little bit more about video games than you would expect. My wife was a huge Tony Hawk fan.
Oh yeah, Tony Hawk. The old Pro Skater games are great. She used to
play that. Like I don't remember which one exactly. There was one she played the crap out of. She's really good at it too.
Yeah, they're really fun games. I mean, I hope they can nail that feel again, because they strayed so far away from the formula that people liked after a while. Like they did that Peripheral game where you had the actual skateboard. It was
broken. It just didn't work. It was awful. Yeah, you can buy that at yard sales all day for 99 cents, man.
It's crazy. And then Forza Motorsport 6 got announced. I'm a big automotive guy. I don't know if people know that about me. I don't talk about it on the channel often. I love cars.
He also used to smoke cigars. I like to throw that out every chance I get. I like to make sure that everyone knows that Dan Torrey used to smoke cigars.
I did.
I didn't know you were a car guy, though.
I am. My dad kind of has owned over the years like sports cars, and he loves restoring cars. Cool. He's done a bunch of cars. Like he restored a '57 Ford Falcon when I was a kid. He used to have the Lotus that James Bond drove underwater in The Spy Who Loved Me. He used to have a Dodge Viper. He used to have a Corvette. Now he has a TBR from the '60s, and he has a Porsche Carrera S, which is a really nice car. It's silver, beautiful car. So like I like cars a lot, and Forza Motorsport is like the best racing simulator. I know a lot of people like Gran Turismo. I never played those games, so I wouldn't know. But Forza Motorsport is the best racing sim that I've played, and there's over like 500 cars in those games. Usually, there's gonna be more cars in this one. You can fully customize anything you want. There's in the 5th one, there's a store where you can upload skins that people make online and apply them on your cars. I got a really cool like Venom one for one of my cars that I was playing with. Like it's so cool, like the stuff that people make. Forza Motorsport is like it's a game of endless possibility, but with cars, and that's what's really excites me about it. They're just going to be doing some new stuff with it, new cars, new maps. All of the maps in the game are real racetracks, so it's like really like gritty, not gritty in the sense of like it's dark, but like gritty in the sense that the detail is so pristine. The attention to detail in those games is amazing, so I'm really excited about that game too. Are you a racing game fan per se? Are you more of an arcadey racer kind of person?
Yeah, more of the what the kart style thing. But yeah, I used to do a lot more racing games when I was a kid. But I haven't played anything recent that's realistic. I've never been a simulator guy. I'm always about more escapist video games.
Yeah, I mean, you can get a little bit of escapism in those games in that you can take like a VW like Beetle from like the 60s and like soup it up to like race against like really really nice cars like Ferraris and stuff.
But yeah, you're right. More arcade. So I played a lot of like Cruising USA and stuff like that when I was a kid.
Yeah, and EA showed a trailer for the Need for Speed reboot at their conference, and it looks like it could be good, like going back to the roots of like Underground 2. So I mean, that would be cool.
I played those.
Those games are fun. I like the Need for Speed games when they were the Underground games. And
yeah, I played one of those on PS2. I mean, it was surprisingly involved and not like too complicated. Just there was a lot to do. Like you'd put it in, and your time would pass, and you'd lose your time, and be like, oh, I've been driving around everywhere because I keep like that game was just accumulating things. You just drive around and you keep boosting things, and I was used to games where you just drive around tracks, and that game was drive around everything and find things. And it was kind of fun.
Yeah. I mean, I've been hoping for a good Need for Speed game because I used to like those games a lot. But I mean, we'll see. The fact that they have to annualize those games is really the problem. Like, whenever a franchise gets annualized, like, there's always a different quality. It's really unfortunate.
Well, and every now and again, when you get an annual game like that, they'll do something, like, really unique and ambitious, and it doesn't feel like it's the annual thing anymore. Right. And then they just go right back to where it was. Back
to Formula.
Back to Formula racing. No, I used to, what was I going to say? I used to never buy sports games, and I still don't really, but then when NBA 2K11 came out and they did the Michael Jordan thing, my wife and I really wanted to play that and see what they did with it, because Sarah was a huge Michael Jordan fan when she was a kid, and she was a Bulls fan, and she lived there, so like it was a big thing, and we bought that, and I mean, that again, annual thing. They make basically the same game every year. There was something special about that one, and we played the crap out of it. Yeah, it was great. Well, it was really fun because you could go back and you could play like famous games.
Oh, cool. That's awesome.
And I just thought that was really neat. And so you could because it wasn't just Michael. They didn't just put Michael Jordan back in. They put all the old players, and you could go back to specific years.
Oh, cool. So do they have like Larry Bird? And
everybody was in it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was
cool.
It was wonderful. So like, it felt like something special. It didn't feel like it was a throwback thing, but it didn't feel like just that again. What they do every year. And I mean, you still could play the current stuff, but I think you could also like mix and match and put old players with new players, and it was neat. It was really fun.
Yeah,
that's neither here nor there. That was 5 years ago, but
one of the other games too. I don't know if you got a chance to see the trailer for it. Was Mirror's Edge Catalyst.
No, I missed that.
Which Mirror's Edge, basically, if you've never seen like a demo of even the first game before, it's like a first-person parkouring kind of game, and it's kind of like just like a running game. And the cool thing about it is the world and the story to me, potentially. Basically, what it is it's extrapolating out what a fascist society would look like.
Is that the one with the dinosaur with the?
No, that's a different game.
Oh, okay. Because we didn't talk about that, and that was kind of interesting.
Yeah,
the mechanical dinosaurs.
Yeah, I forget the name of the game.
I don't remember what that was either. Sorry, it runs together. Oh, that,
Dawn or something like that.
That looked interesting. I don't know if
Horizon Zero Dawn, yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to get that, but that looked interesting.
It does look cool.
Sorry, you continue with what you were talking about.
So Mirror's Edge basically is like extrapolating what a fascist society would look like if it existed today, where it was so like regimented and ordered, where like the government just basically controlled everyone's lives, and like you're a rebel and they're like trying to chase you down, and like the world looks really cool because it's like really pristine and clean on the surface, but everyone's like super repressed, and like the police is really militarized and stuff. It looks really cool, like the world and stuff, because I'm interested in like that sort of political stuff, and that's what the story of the world is all about. So it looks really cool.
You know what would not be fun if you weren't a rebel?
Yeah.
If you just played as one of the random people that was oppressed by the state, and you're like, day in the life of being oppressed in a fascist government, you're like, well, this is all interesting and stuff, but I don't know if I want to put 30 hours into this game.
I know. Yeah, so that game looks interesting. A first-person game that's not all about shooting. I'm down for experimenting with that kind of thing. There was a first game that was sort of the same thing, but this looks to be sort of a reboot of it, so maybe they'll do something different. So Horizon Zero Dawn, let's talk briefly about that, because that looks really cool. It's a game basically about, like, it looks like cavemen with bows fighting robot dinosaurs.
Yeah, and it looks like it's taking itself really seriously. Yeah. We'll see what that's going to be like, but the thing that was most intriguing to me was, and it looks like a Uncharted-esque kind of adventure game to me. But what was interesting about it was this girl, like, runs up a hill and then sees all these dinosaurs and these like mechanical dinosaurs. But what was most interesting to me was she runs up to one of them and breaks it down and then apologizes to it like it's sentient or not sentient, but like a living creature. And I was like, that's intriguing enough to me to want to at least see the story of that game, where it was like, what has happened in the history of that world? Because the opening of it is like, we used to have these amazing towering cities, and now it's post-apocalyptic because that's everything is that now. But I guess the idea is that we are so far beyond the a really futuristic kind of civilization that we've mixed organic and robotics so hard that you've got robots running around like they're just regular animals. I think that's really interesting.
It is really interesting, and she made mention of, like, she's hunting them, so, like, can you eat these robot dinosaurs?
Or maybe she needs the energy from them or something. Who knows? But yeah, she was like, it seemed really almost kind of Native American or something, where it was like, I feel really bad for killing this animal and not using the meat or whatever, right?
Right. Yeah.
I gotta know. There's a part of me that's gotta know with that game, and I don't know if this kind of game I want to play, but I kind of want to see it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's coming from a developer with a good pedigree. I mean, that's a Sony internal studio. I forget what their name is. They own them outright, but they make the series of Killzone first-person shooters, which are critically acclaimed and stuff.
Oh, so yeah, okay.
It's a developer with a good pedigree, and of course, since Sony owns a studio, it's going to be a PS4 exclusive. I hope it turns out well, because the last, like, Sony-affiliated studio, they came out with a game recently. It was called The Order 1886, and it was like set in like the Industrial Revolution in England with like werewolves and stuff, and it looked really cool, but it didn't review very well. I know people said it wasn't very good. I never played it, so I don't really know myself. But hopefully they can turn that into a vibrant IP, because I'm very impressed with Sony and Microsoft both for trying out some new IPs and stuff, announcing some new stuff like that. Let's see, I'm trying to look at the list of other stuff I wanted to mention here.
You know what I don't care about?
What?
More Mario Tennis.
Yeah. I mean, I like Mario Tennis. But
I like it okay, too, but I mean, like there was, past the first one, there was really never anything extra added that I cared about. I mean, like, I guess on GameCube it was a little better than it was on 64, but like, I don't know.
Not much. I mean,
who cares?
Tennis isn't a game that you can like jazz up too much.
That's just how I feel about it. I don't know why we gotta make more of those. It's like, the next thing they're gonna announce is another Mario Strikers or something. Like,
I mean, I wish they'd make another Mario baseball game, because the one they made on the GameCube I liked a lot, and baseball is my favorite sport, so maybe that's why I liked it.
I never played that. Was that fun?
It was really fun. It was like arcadey baseball, which no one ever does. Well, anyway, it's fun, and I wish they'd make another one of those. And I'm surprised they didn't, because the two most popular sports in the countries where Nintendo makes most of their money, America and Japan, loves baseball. That's like the big sport in both of those countries.
And it makes a lot of sense that they did soccer, if you think about it.
Yeah, that's true. For their, because soccer's the most powerful and popular sport in the world.
Yeah.
FIFA and stuff. So, I mean, I'm kind of surprised they haven't done more Mario sports games, but maybe that's just a symptom of the Wii U not doing very well. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So
there are a lot of sports that I'm surprised we haven't seen yet. Mario Hockey. It just seems like a thing that I'm sort of joking, but not really.
They did Mario like a hockey game in the Olympic.
I'm sure
the Olympic games they did.
Well, once you start counting that in, we've probably seen everything that could ever have been.
There was like Mario, curling and stuff. Ridiculous.
Yay!
So they did announce a Mario game that other than Mario Maker that I'm interested in. The Nintendo conference is called Mario and Luigi Paper Jam, and
that looked cool.
It's taking the handheld Mario and Luigi RPG series and mixing it with the traditionally console Mario RPG series Paper Mario and putting them together.
And you can be the paper ones and the 3D ones simultaneously, and they've got their different properties. And what I played of Mario and Luigi, I really like. I'm not an RPG guy, but those are fun.
Yeah, those RPGs are really fun. And I don't know if have you ever played any of the Paper Mario games?
Yeah, a little bit, briefly. My wife played them quite a bit.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So like all of those have been pretty good. So I'm optimistic about that one. That one should be cool. And I think the only other thing I wanted to mention was the new Smash characters. So Ryu from Street Fighter, Lucas, and Roy, two returning characters. One from another franchise that I never thought we'd see in a Smash Bros. Game. It's kind of cool that they're getting Street Fighter characters are going to be in it. And we're also getting Virtua Fighter, Tekken, and Mega Man Mii Fighter costumes, which Captain Logan's really excited about the Virtua Fighter one.
I'm less excited than you think I might be. Mostly just because somebody says Virtua Fighter and I go, another game finally? Oh. Because I think it's been 7 or 8 years since we had a Virtua Fighter game. I think Virtua Fighter 5 was on, was it 5? Was on 360 and I forget where else it was, but and it was quite good. Nobody played it, but it was, but I was really happy with it, and just nobody cares about Virtua Fighter anymore. And I'm really surprised that they even thought to do that. That's crazy. Tekken somehow stuck around a little bit. There was a new one of those a couple of years ago. I think I forget when that came out.
I think there was too. Yeah.
But Virtua Fighter we never made more. I like Tekken a lot. But Virtua Fighter I grew up with. It's one of my favorite things. And I like it because it's one of the only video games that I'm really good at that most people I know can't play. And that's just a lot of fun. Except that no one will play it with me, so then that's not fun. But anyway, no, the skins. They're doing Akira and Jackie, and that's it. And they're not my favorite characters, so it's hard to get real excited about it. It does make me wonder, though, if having the skins will give them their movesets. And if they do that, that could be kind of neat. If they fight like Virtual Fighter characters, and I would assume that's probably the whole point of doing it. If they're just wearing their costumes, a lot of people are going to be like, who's that guy? He's got spiky hair, who cares?
I have to say, most of the costumes, that's basically what it is. And there's 3 set move sets that you can choose from when you make a Mii character. You get either the sword,
it's just the costume?
A wizard, yeah.
But I'm
not a wizard, a person with a gun hand.
Why couldn't I have gotten Sarah? There's characters that I like a lot more than those 2 characters. So
yeah, fair enough.
But if it's just the skins, I'm not gonna play as a Mii probably anyway. So I don't know that I'm gonna be all that excited about that.
Yeah,
whatever.
That's true.
But the fact that they even thought to do that makes me more optimistic than I have been in a long time about potentially more Virtua Fighter. What we really need to do is mix Virtua Fighter and Tekken. That just needs to have happened already, like yesterday. And
they already did it with Tekken and Street Fighter. The most recent Street Fighter game was Street Fighter Cross Tekken, or I don't even know if that's out yet, but that's a thing.
I know, and we also did it back in the mid-90s on Saturn with Virtua Fighter and something that Sega had called Fighting Vipers, which played a little bit like Tekken and a little more like, it was more like a cross between Tekken and Virtua Fighter, and that had I'll have to show you some gameplay of that at some point, because a lot of the unlockable characters were bizarre. They had some of the Sonic characters from Sonic the Fighter, or Sonic Fighters, whatever that game was called. And they had a lot of characters, Dan, that just weren't even remotely compatible. Where you would have, you play as Sonic characters, and you had your hands so close to your chest like a velociraptor that you just couldn't even hardly hit anyone. It was strange. They put something from everything they owned practically in that game, and it was like a cluster hoo-ha. It was called, what was it called? Fighters Mega Mix was the name of that game, and it even had like they had the Daytona series, so they actually had a Daytona race car standing on its haunches, fighting with its front wheels. It was absolutely bizarre. So anyway, we've crossed Virtua Fighter before, and I would love to see it cross something else. It'd be really cool if they just put a couple of those characters in
Smash Bros.
Smash Brothers, yeah.
That would be cool. I mean, I wouldn't rule it out because though Jackie and Akira were in both the Sonic and Sega racing games that have come out recently. So
they were. Why are we only using those characters? That's irritating.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
Are they like the main two characters?
Sort of. I mean, Virtua Fighter, has a lot of different main characters. So I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I guess if you had to pick, no, I don't know. It's hard to say that. I don't know. It was all a whole bunch of subplots, and nobody cared about the story anyway. So but yeah. I mean, Jackie and Sarah were kind of felt more important a lot of the time just because they were brother and sister, and she had this whole like amnesia thing because you have to have that. Okay. And stuff. So anyway, I won't get into that. But anyway, I don't know. It's just weird that everything comes back, Dan. It all comes back.
Yeah, I mean, it would be interesting to see Sega partner up with Nintendo to do something with Virtua Fighter because Nintendo doesn't have a traditional fighting game series like that. I mean, they have Smash Bros, but it plays very differently than something like Street Fighter or Virtua Fighter or Tekken.
Yeah, and it's just another thing based on a bunch of their classic characters already. It's not like its own fighting franchise. I mean, it is, but they didn't create characters for it. Right.
So that would be really cool.
Well, it took us a couple hours to do this. I'm not surprised by that. I guess you had a lot of rundown that you wanted to do. So if you didn't keep up with E3 and you like listening to us yammer on, now you know some things.
Yeah, I mean, there's stuff we didn't mention. I mean, I'm sure people are in the comments are going to be like, how did you not talk about Kingdom Hearts 3 or Final Fantasy VII Remake and all that kind of stuff?
Oh, I didn't even know that was going on.
Yeah, I'm not interested in any of that stuff, so I didn't feel the need to mention it. I'd just be like, oh, this game's happening, and then we'd move on. So, I mean, definitely let us know what you guys are excited about from E3 that we didn't talk about in the comments, or like if you disagree with us.
We should mention, of course, that Kingdom Hearts 3 is a big deal. I mean, that's finally happening. I never played those, so it's not a big deal to me. But I mean, like that is one of those franchises where it was like Kingdom Hearts something rather forever, and constantly waiting for that number to get put on it. So.
Yeah, exactly. And I saw like Eric, he was freaking out about it on Facebook. He was really excited. So. It's been a E3 with a lot of great announcements for pretty much everybody. I mean, it's really cool that we were able to find so many games that you were interested in, like Cuphead. That game looks awesome. I want to play that now too.
Yeah, well, and quite a few things that we both cared about.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm surprised you and I just had a video game discussion, and it wasn't just me saying some stuff and then you saying some stuff.
Yeah, especially talking about Battlefront. That was really fun. And I want to hear what people think about the Battlefront footage. I think a lot of people's minds might have been changed after seeing actual gameplay footage of it.
I hope so. It looks amazing.
Yeah, I think so too.
We'll see, but yeah, it looks amazing. Well, anyway, everybody, thanks always for watching. We sure appreciate it. And as Dan said, leave your comments. We're excited to see them. And we are going to try our darndest to bring some more video game stuff to the channel. A lot of this was Dan backdoor trying to get more video game stuff on the channel, which I appreciate because we really need that. And, I want to do some more platforming hours and things like that. But I want to do some more modern, recent stuff too, and not just go back to old school. Although I have a lot of old school stuff I want to do too. So anyway, well, thanks for watching. We appreciate it. I am Captain Logan.
And I'm Dan.
We'll see you again very shortly, and don't forget to join us for Primetime Crisis Live on Sunday night, and we'll see you later.